Namaste. Today we're going to hear about the Swadhisthana chakra. The Sanskrit word swa means one's own, and adhisthana means dwelling place or residence. Therefore, Swadhisthana means one's own abode. The Swadhisthana chakra is at the base of the spine, at the coccyx or tailbone. If you place your hand on the bottom of the spine, you feel a small bulb just above the anus. This is the coccyx bone and the location point for Swadhisthana chakra. It could also be 2 inches above the tip of the tailbone, depending on where you feel more sensitivity. Swadhisthana kshetram, or trigger point or contact center, is at the front of the body, level with the pubic bone. Swadhisthana has a very strong connection with the unconscious mind and its storehouse of samskaras, mental impressions. It is said that all one's karmas from past lives, previous experiences, and impressions are locked away in the center of the brain, which is connected to the Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana is the center where one primarily is concerned with seeking pleasurable sensations and instinctively motivated to obtain pleasure through the sense organs in the form of food, sex, drink, etc. It differs from Muladhara in that in Muladhara, material objects are sought in to satisfy the need for security. But in Swadhisthana chakra, the emphasis is on enjoyment of the pleasurable sensations associated with material objects. In Swadhisthana, samskaras will manifest themselves in the form of overwhelming craving for food, sex, stimulants, addictions. Swadhisthana is connected with the water element, apasatattva, and is closely related with the sense of taste and the tongue. The karmandriya is the kidneys and the sex organs, or the organ of action. Swadhisthana is symbolic and connected with the water element, apasatattva, and the sense of taste and the tongue. The karmandriya, or the organ of action, is the kidneys, evacuation, and sex organs. Swadhisthana is symbolically represented as a 6-petaled, vermilion-colored lotus. The yantra, or geometrical symbol, is a white crescent moon, and the bija mantra is Vam. The ego state of Swadhisthana chakra is identification with our gender or sexuality. The ego state of I am a man or I am a woman and I want to join sexually with another. We enjoy beautifying ourselves and dressing up as a means to attract the attention of others, the opposite sex. The signs of balance in Swadhisthana is being at ease with your sexuality and your gender, viewing sexuality as a natural aspect of our existence and able to experience it in a conscious, joyful, and spontaneous way, free of guilt and the feeling of sinfulness. The signs of imbalance in Swadhisthana is that we have lots of sexual energy, but little of the mellowing influence of the higher chakras. We tend to overindulge in sex, considering others as sexual objects. We tend to be addicted to pleasure, even those pleasures that are harmful, unhealthy, and unnatural. If we deny and suppress our sexuality, we tend to be rigid in body and attitudes and fearful of sex. We may deny pleasure and lack vitality, passion, and excitement. Often, we are riddled with guilt, have low self-esteem, and are prone to depression. The ways of unblocking and healing Swadhisthana is inner child work, emotional release, enjoying healthy pleasures, enjoying the senses, sharing and exploring sexuality with a loving partner, as well as Hatha Yoga and other forms of yoga. The physiological ailments of Swadhisthana relate to the sex organs and the glands, the gonads, the testes in men, in women, the ovaries. Associated diseases include sexual problems of all types. In women, this includes premenstrual tension, amenorrhea, dysmenorrhea, sterility. In men, it includes prostatitis and impotence. This chakra also relates to lower back pain and kidney problems. The loka for Swadhisthana is Bhuhar, the intermediate plane of spiritual awareness. The tanmatra or sense connected with this chakra is taste. The jnanendriyas or sense of knowledge are the tongue. The karmendriya or sense of action is the sexual organs, kidneys, urinary system. The chief vayu of Swadhisthana is apana, which courses through the body, and Swadhisthana and Manipur are the seat of the pranamaya kosha. It is said that he who meditates on Kundalini in Swadhisthana chakra is immediately freed from his internal enemies, lust, anger, greed, etc. His nectar-like words flow in prose and verse and in well-reasoned discourse. He becomes like the sun, illuminating the darkness of ignorance. It is said that those who meditate on Kundalini in Swadhisthana chakra can be immediately freed from their internal enemies, lust, anger, greed, etc. Their nectar-like words flow in prose and verse and in well-reasoned discourse. They become like the sun, illuminating the darkness of ignorance. Swadhisthana is regarded as the substratum or basis of the individual human existence, the home of the unconscious. Its counterpart in the brain is the unconscious mind, and it is the storehouse of mental impressions or samskaras. It is said that all the karmas, the past lives, the previous experiences, the greater dimension of the human personality that is unconscious, can be symbolized by Swadhisthana chakra. Individual being takes root in the unconscious mind, and many instinctive desires that are felt at the level of this chakra bubble up from the depths of the unconscious. In Tantra, there is the concept of the animal and the master of the animal. In Sanskrit, Pashu means animal and Pati means master. Pashupati is the master or controller of all the animal instincts. This is one of the names of Lord Shiva and is also one of the attributes of Swadhisthana chakra. According to mythology, Pashupati is the total unconscious. It is absolute control over Muladhara chakra and the animal propensities during the first milestone of the human evolution. The unconscious principle of Swadhisthana should never be considered as an inactive or dormant process. No, rather, it is a far more dynamic and powerful process than the normal consciousness. When the Shakti enters Swadhisthana chakra, there is an overwhelming experience of this unconscious state. It is different from Muladhara, which is the manifest expression of that unconscious. In Muladhara, the karmas of the lower stages of our evolution are manifested in the form of anger, greed, jealousy, passion, love, hatred, and so on. There, we work out that karma, manifesting and expressing it overtly. At the level of Swadhisthana, however, there is no conscious activity or manifestations. This is Hiranyagarbha, the universal womb, where everything exists in a potential state. The Rig Veda says, in the beginning of creation, there was Hiranyagarbha, Then came all the living beings, all the beings that exist, and he was the protector of all. In the collective unconscious, the samskaras and the karmas exist in seed state. For example, yesterday you may have had a pleasant or painful experience. That experience has become a subconscious process or force, which is acting on and coloring your conscious awareness today. There are many experiences like this from the past which we do not consciously recall, but nevertheless, they are playing a part in determining our daily behavior, attitudes, and reactions. There are many karmas influencing us in this way, but we remain completely unaware of them. According to Tantra, each and every perception, experience, and association is recorded. If you have a quarrel or bitter exchange, that is a very strong registration. However, if you happen to pass someone on the path, look at him, and walk on, this is also registered. Many things come within our range of association, and they are all automatically registered. They're not analyzed, but simply filed away in some layer of the mind. All those insignificant and unimpressive karmas, which have been registered automatically in our unconscious, form the total unconscious. In Kundalini Yoga, Swadhisthana is often regarded as the hindrance in the sense that these karmas lying embedded in the unconscious do not allow the rising Kundalini to pass through. After the initial awakening, Kundalini returns to dormancy time and time again, solely due to the karmic blockage at Swadhisthana. These karmas are beyond the range of analysis. They have practically no form, but they are a great force. To give a crude analogy, supposing there is a big water tank into which you drop all kinds of things. If you were to empty the tank 5 years later and examine the contents, you would no longer find those same objects which you put in. The matter would still be there, but its form would have changed. The collective karma of the unconscious exists in Swadhisthana as a form or force, somewhat like the matter in this tank. Therefore, the awakening of Swadhisthana presents many difficulties for the sadhaka. When the explosion takes place and Swadhisthana begins to erupt, the aspirant is often confused and disturbed by the activation of all this unconscious material. It is absolutely impossible for one to understand these impressions, which are attributed to a disturbed mental condition. Although the sadhaka may be duly apprehensive about entering this stage of awakening, it is absolutely necessary for spiritual evolution. With a competent guru or spiritual guide who knows how to avoid all the pitfalls of this area, Swadhisthana can be traversed safely and without any problems. Swadhisthana and purgatory. When Kundalini is residing in Swadhisthana chakra, the last vestige of karma is being thrown out, and all the negative samskaras express themselves and are expelled. At this time, you may be angry, afraid, or full of sexual fantasies and passion. You may also experience lethargy, indolence, depression, and all kinds of tamasic characteristics. The tendency to procrastinate is very strong, and you just want to sleep and sleep. This state of evolution is known as purgatory. And if you read the lives of many of the great saints, you'll find that most of them encountered great turmoil and temptations when they were passing through this stage. When Lord Buddha was sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, waiting for enlightenment, he was visited by Mara, a demonical mythological force, the same force which the Bible refers to as Satan. Just as Satan is a tempter, so Mara is a temptress. This demonical force is not external. It is an internal force which can be found in everybody. It is situated at a very great depth of our personality and is capable of creating illusion. In the Buddhist tradition, Mara is represented by a big snake, a grotesque-looking person with big teeth, or as a beautiful naked woman hovering around waiting to embrace an aspirant who is involved in his sadhana. These are all mythological symbols, no doubt, but they are realities in our sadhana. Every great person and every saint has had to undergo this peculiar experience, which is like the ultimate explosion of the seed of life. It seems that the seed of a person's birth and rebirth is situated in Swadhisthana Chakra. Although most people confront difficulties when they are moving through the terrain of Swadhisthana, if one has the grace of a guru, indomitable and invincible willpower, has been sincere and not hypocritical in one's spiritual pursuits, is very clear about one's goals and understands what these experiences of purgatory are, then one can face these difficulties properly and overcome them. If one fluctuates even slightly, Kundalini will return back to Muladhara, and the real awakening will become more difficult. Therefore, in the first stages of sadhana and awakening, you must have a supreme kind of vairagya or detachment. It should not be intellectual vairagya, but the outcome of a thorough analysis and experience of the situations of life. Where is the end to the pleasures of life? Can you ever satisfy your desires? Even when you reach the age of 80 or 90, and your body can no longer enjoy pleasures, the mind still dwells on them constantly. You can leave all the sensual pleasures, but the taste will remain in the mind. If the sadhaka understands this truth, that desires can never be satisfied in one lifetime, or even in thousands of lifetimes, then Kundalini can pass through Swadhisthana safely and relatively fast, and make its way to Manipur Chakra. Without this understanding, Swadhisthana becomes like an impenetrable iron curtain, and perhaps only one in thousands can transcend it. Many people awaken Kundalini quite easily, but passing the Swadhisthana border is another thing. You cannot get through without a visa. Transforming the primal energy. When no sexual desires of any kind manifest in an aspirant anymore, and when there is no more personal attraction, that means Kundalini has passed beyond Swadhisthana Chakra. However, when you are dealing with the subject of sex, your understanding must be very thorough. Although you may not have any sexual awareness at the moment, that does not mean your desires have been exterminated. They might be in a suppressed state. There is an automatic process of suppression in the human constitution, and that is inherent in our own mental being. Indian rishis have stated that sexual awareness and desires can manifest at any stage of evolution. They are very acute and clearly expressed when one is in Swadhisthana and having continual fantasies. But sexual awareness never really dies because it is fueled by the primal energy which is present all throughout. Sex is only an expression of that, and therefore it can manifest at any stage, and one should never think that one has transcended it. It is even present when one is in the highest state of consciousness. The only difference is that in Swadhisthana, it is in a very disturbed state, whereas in the higher centers of evolution, it is in a seed form. After all, what is bhakti or devotion? What is union? They are the sublimated pure form of sexual energy. Energy at different levels is known by different names. At the highest level, it is called spiritual experience. On the emotional level, it is known as love. On the physical level, it is known as sex. And at the lowest level, it is known as avidya, or ignorance. So therefore, when you talk about sex, you must understand that it's only a particular formation of energy. Just as curd, butter, and cheese are different formations of the one thing, milk, energy has different manifestations. Matter is the grossest manifestation of energy. In the ultimate state, matter is energy. Therefore, energy and matter are intraconvertible. A thought is an object, and an object is a thought. This body is consciousness, and consciousness has become this body. In the same way that you understand this, you have to reanalyze and redefine sexual awareness. The rishis say that the same energy which flows through passion, when channeled, manifests as devotion. Channel the same energy again, and it manifests as spiritual experience. That is why spiritual aspirants love God in various manifestations. Some picture him as father or mother, a child, a friend, a husband, or even a lover. In this way, they can sublimate the form of their emotional energy and even transform that primal energy into a divine experience. Psychic propensities of Shwadhisthana. At a higher level, Shwadhisthana acts as the switch for Bindu. This is the point where primal sound originates. Any awakening in Shwadhisthana is simultaneously carried up to Bindu, where it is experienced in the form of the sound body, which is an important psychic attribute of this chakra. There are many other psychic propensities gained through the awakening of Shwadhisthana chakra. These include loss of fear of water, dawning of intuitive knowledge, awareness of astral entities, and the ability to taste anything desired for oneself or others. It must be remembered that up to Shwadhisthana, the consciousness is not yet purified. Due to ignorance and confusion, the psychic powers awakened at this level are often accompanied by the maleficent mental attributes. What happens here when the aspirant tries to manifest or express himself through the psychic medium is that more often than not, it becomes a vehicle for personal and lower tendencies rather than for the divine. The sum and substance is this: awakening of Kundalini is not a difficult task, but to get beyond Shwadhisthana is. For that, you must improve the general background of your psycho-emotional life. Once you pass Shwadhisthana, you will not have to face any explosive traumas again, but there will be other difficulties further on. Kundalini is unlikely to descend again, as it is designed to move on, but the problems you will confront will be concerned with siddhis, and they are more difficult to subdue. Until the next time, enjoy. Having listened to the explorations of Shwadhisthana, you may like to sit quietly and contemplate on what you understand and experience about your Shwadhisthana chakra. Namaste.